there's also a huge sense of pride in like feeding humanity. Not everybody eats beef, but the people that do, taking pride in how those animals are cared for and raised, and being able to provide quality food to nourish people and families. And they sit around the table and celebrate holidays, birthdays. Like, just getting to be a part of that is pretty cool. Why would I be anything but who I am? But let your freak flag fly. Mm-hmm. And we talk about that a lot with the kids in terms of like, just be yourself. You're not meant to be anybody else. And yeah, so embracing that is one of the parts of my journey that I've really enjoyed.
Welcome to the Mindful Humanship Podcast with Amy Monea
and Angie Payne. Is it possible that an animal, horses, can lead us to be mindfully human?
Join us as we discuss the wisdom of the horse and the impact they can have on our everyday lives.
Our conversations are guided between the reins of connection and mental health.
All right. Well, here we are. Episode, 7, I think.
7. Lucky 7.
Lucky 7 of Mindful Humanship. And we've been kind of talking about some different ideas of, I noticed you are dressed up today. I am not. So that's the way it goes.
This is like business cowboy, like a couple belt buckles, Canadian tuxedo,
it's really
denim
nice.
on denim on the bottom.
Nice. I have a lovely, amazing Indigenous made sweatshirt from a company called Unity. So I wasn't supposed to wear it to the farm because it'll get dirty then. Here I am. So what we thought we would do today is some of you might know us now from our 6 episodes of Mindful Humanship, but also you probably don't know us. You know us as therapists and co-facilitated equine facilitators, that kind of thing. So what we thought we would do is dive into who we are as human beings. So today we're going to start with Amy Monea. And so Amy and I have been business partners for 11 years, almost 11 years now, which seems crazy. But so I know a lot about her, but there's probably things I don't know also. And so let's see, what I know is she is a farmer. And I'd like to go back and find out like how you grew up. I believe you did grow up on a farm, but like what kind of farm? What was it like? How was it growing up? That kind of thing.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know you were going to go there. You told me you didn't prepare, and it sounds like you did prepare.
I don't prepare.
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm not too far from where we live now, about half an hour away. And when I was born, that farm was a dairy farm. So my dad and my uncle and my grandfather all farmed together in dairy. It was a mixed farm, but primarily to support the dairy operation. So they milked cows twice a day, and that's how I grew up. Every morning early, my dad would be out milking cows, and every evening milking cows. It was that way until I think I was 8 years old, and they decided to sell the quota. So in Canada, we have a supply management system for dairy, still to this day, where you have to buy quota. So you can only produce the amount of milk or sell the amount of milk based on your quota. So they sold the quota and the cows around the time I was 8 years old. The cool part was I also got to grow up with my cousins, my aunt and uncle, and my grandma and grandpa on the farm. So my cousins and I were kind of similar ages and just getting into a lot of activities and stuff like that. So they were at the point on the farm, based on my understanding, where they had to either really upgrade the technology or sell. Because we were such busy kids, they decided that was the best option so that they didn't have to miss everything, because they had to be at the farm those 2 times every single day of the year. So they sold the quota. and transitioned to a mixed kind of cow-calf operation. So they grow, to this day, they calve out 200-300 cows, my dad and my uncle, and they farm, so grow, basically feed for the cattle. Yeah, so that's how I grew up. It is, at the time, being a country kid, it felt like we were missing out because we couldn't just ride our bikes to our friend's house. We couldn't have the independence that kids in town seem to have. And now I hear my kids talk about the same stuff. Like, it sucks because I have to wait for you to drive me and I have to plan my life around your schedule. And yes, but I did get to grow up with numerous different adults around, and people to play with all the time, and the freedom of being on a farm. So they weren't worried about me getting into kind of trouble that kids could get into town. But it was things like, don't play by the highway, don't play by the dugout, don't climb on the roof of the barn. And I did every one of those things. And I got in trouble for every one of those things, except for climbing on the roof of the barn because my grandpa was there and he told me I could and he was watching me. But my mom and my grandma didn't know that. They just saw little Amy bouncing across the roof of the barn. And they came down there, flying down there to bawl me out. And my grandpa was there. So the story is she bawled my grandpa out. But I got to play
for not telling them that he was allowing you to play around on the roof of the barn.
I think she was scared. She was just scared. And so, she gave him supreme trouble. But yeah, that's how I got to grow up. And we got on the bus every day at my grandma and grandpa's. She still kind of does, dinosaur candies and Twizzlers. So yeah, that's how I got to grow up.
Nice. So I heard you say that the reason they transitioned to kind of a beef operation was that you kids had busy schedules. Do you mean busy on the farm, or what other activities were you into when you were a youngster?
Yeah. So I played ringette. I played ringette probably for 20 years. I played probably up to 4 years ago. So, and I still love it. I would go back and play. So I played ringette since I was quite young. I line danced.
You line danced?
Yeah.
As a hobby?
Well, no, we would go perform at, as a hobby, but yeah, we would go perform at Pancake Breakfast Stampede Week during the Calgary Stampede, really busy for us. We'd go to senior centers and line dance. And then my mom and my aunt also line danced, and they got to go, I think, to Nashville to go to a competition, line dancing competition.
See, so you know somebody 11 years and you find out something new about them. I didn't know you were a line dancer.
I also still love to line dance, but the other thing I did was force 4-H.
So 4-H was a completely new concept to me when I, not even when I first moved here, but when your kids started going to 4-H, I was like, what is this 4-H all about? Because I didn't know, because I'm a city kid. So what is 4-H?
4-H is I'm going to just try my best to explain it. It is a program for youth ages 9 to 20, I believe. They have a Cleaver program now, so that's for younger kids. They can be part of the club as well. And the kids belong to a club based on certain interests. So some clubs are beef clubs, some are horse clubs, some are multi-clubs, so that you can do kind of any kind of project. And you have to do a number of different things. So the point is to support kids to develop skills in various areas that will serve them in life, which is actually the point of any youth sport or activity, teamwork, confidence, communication, all that kind of stuff. But in 4-H, we had to do, and they still do a communications activity every year. So second biggest fear next to dying is speaking in public. So the kids have to speak in public. And I'm still super passionate about that because for like a huge introverted, as big of an introvert as I am, I love speaking. What else do we have to do? They have to do multi-judging now, so they have to be able to judge 10 or like a number of different classes. So it's all about choosing what you are, making a choice of how you would rate things in order and why. It's not necessarily about getting it right, but having good reasons and justifications for decisions that you're making. They do business meetings every month. So they learn how to run a business, and they get a business meeting to participate in various parts of it. So there's all the positions like treasurer, secretary, president, different committees, stuff like that. And then they get to train
The boss is standing, flipping me the bird, right?
Obviously something important. One of the things about living on a farm, growing up on a farm, and stuff happens on the farm that requires immediate attention, it kind of trumps almost everything.
Yeah. So coming out of 4-H, how did that shape your life as you became a young adult? Like, how did it help?
Why are you asking such great questions?
I'm just,
So I always loved horses, so I got to ride. I made some incredible friends at 4-H and 4-H camp. I got to travel to Regina for, what's it called? It's a big agriculture conference in like the fall, winter. And then my communication skills. So learning how to speak in public, I actually continued on and was a high school rodeo queen. Was going to get to that. Oh, see, on the same page.
Yeah.
And then I still love to public speak. I love to speak about things I'm passionate about. And I'm not as afraid of it. And horses. Love horses. So it helped me to learn some of the stuff that I wouldn't have normally learned, like body parts of a horse, because it didn't really matter to me. I was barrel racing, high school rodeoing, don't really care.
When I had to go fast.
Yeah. And what the parts of a saddle, kind of how to check a temperature, how much it costs to have a horse. When we live on a farm, sometimes it just gets rolled into like all the farm expenses. And so being able to separate it, because it costs money to have livestock, animals, pets, but we often don't look at that.
I always say the cheap part about having a horse is buying it.
Yeah. Even if you buy like a big buck horse, you got to buy it, and then you got to try to keep it alive, keep it fed, this stuff.
All right. So now I move on to you went to school. We've talked about that. You got your social work degree, got your master's in social work. Was that before or after you met your husband that you went to get your master's?
I think before. I think I got my master's when him and I were together.
Okay.
So I went to school and was kind of going down that path. And then I had known him since college years, but I'd never talked to him then. So yeah, that's kind of when we got together.
So you met who I call the boss, Brett Monea. It'd be great to have him on the podcast one day, because I'd love to interview him along the same lines. But one of the stories that I love was that you told me that at your wedding to this lovely man, there was a point at your wedding ceremony that you felt like a fan at a concert and you knew the lead singer, right? Oh, yeah. Tell us about that, because I don't know, that was just the sweetest thing I'd ever heard.
So Brett, that's his real name.
Oh yeah.
Boss.
Brett who?
Yeah. When we got married, he at our wedding, they kept saying, there's something special coming up. And I'm like, oh yeah, the bouquet toss, how special. Yeah, the garter toss, great. Something special coming up. Okay. And then all of a sudden, came time for this special thing, and he walked, like him and his groomsmen all went behind the stage at our local community hall, and then they walked on stage. And some of them put guitars on, some of them, one went to sit behind the drums. There were like 2 or 3 backup singers. And then the drummer gave me a tambourine, and I was like, what is going on? And Brett, he puts his guitar on. He is like,
Brett put a guitar on?
Yeah, and he's like, he got his hair professionally done for a wedding. He looked very like Keith Urban. Oh, handsome. And he goes up and he just goes, hey, everyone, I'm Brett Monea. Which, if you know one of his musicians that he loves, that's a Johnny Cash thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we did that. And then they started singing. And so I'm at the front, the lights are down, like it's like, not spotlight, but like, the music starts playing. And they sang Ho Hey by the Luminaires. So I didn't know what was going to happen. It was a song we'd been listening to a lot. And so I like sang every word at the top of my lungs, and it was like me and like everybody else from the wedding. It's all behind me, and I felt like a groupie off a movie.
Groupie. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
So is that what drew you to Brett Monea, was his singing
actually,
prowess?
Yes. That was I'll go on a date with him.
You can sing, so maybe I'll go on.
He loved to play the guitar. And so he would play the guitar. Our best friends are married to each other. And so when we were single at the same time, he would hang out. Like, weird. I wonder why. But he played the guitar, and I love music too. So he'd play the guitar, and yeah. So finally I was like, I'll go on a date with him, because
why not?
He does some things I like. Not much wrong with him, just whatever. But yeah, that's kind of what got me in the door. Maybe it's not why I married him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's part of what got him a first date. And I say that like he's always got to try to impress me. No. Wouldn't mind it.
Once in a while, anyway.
Every now and then,
once a year,
the house is like spotless when I walk in, and like, whoa, that one gets me.
One of the things that I've learned over the years about Amy is while she's pretty quiet, she's highly introverted. She is as funny as shit. And a couple of years ago, we talk a lot about like doing things that you're afraid to do and doing them anyway.
Yeah.
It's part of growth, and it can be very empowering to be like, oh, I really want to try this, but I'm really scared. I think it might be fun. I think I might be okay at it. But man, am I scared, and then doing it anyway. And so there had been something that Amy had wanted to do for a really long time for me. I'm like, well, what?
When you tell your life goals to your best friend, and they're like,
what?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's all you got? That's it? That's your life goal?
Bucket list.
So, so what was it?
I wanted to try to be a rodeo clown. I was a rodeo queen once. I was going to be a rodeo clown. So I found joy in making up clowning material. And we have some really good friends that are rodeo clowns. They're some of my favorite people. So I found so much joy in making up material. And Brett is such a supporter. That's probably one of the reasons why I married him. He's a supporter. Whatever you want to do, he's the one who'll be like, why are you still talking about it? Get going. So I was a rodeo clown one time at a college rodeo in Olds. My rodeo clown name is Bad Aim.
AIM.
Yeah. And it was probably one of the craziest, coolest things I've done. So scary. Like, I still think about it, and I was like, that was the scariest thing I have ever done in my life.
Would you still say that it's still the scariest thing you've ever done?
Yeah.
There's been nothing that's topped it since then?
No, but so worth it, and so worth it for myself, but also showing my kids, like, just do the crazy. If there's something that like your heart keeps saying you should do that, just try it.
Try it.
And I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but it was fun.
Oh, the material was.
I had this little like fan group and they laughed like crazy. I don't even know if I was that funny. And it was a college rodeo, so I used a little college humor. And then my kid, there's an act called the Ugly Kid Act. My daughter wanted to, or no, sorry, my daughter didn't want to do it. And someone else do it, and it was just super.
She did do it with you. Didn't she have a bowl on her head?
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah. And then we had someone else, another young gal come out and be part of it. So
yeah.
That, and then some humor about kind of like feminism in the paper. Like,
yes.
You know that, but it was kind of
it was in there.
It was in there.
All the things that we're passionate about.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like right now, if I were to say to your kids, what has your mom taught you women are so far by watching her in the world? What do you think they might say?
It would definitely not be. They would say that they're not great house cleaners. It's like part of my mission to show them that like gender roles are not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they learn that from me, that when you live in a home and a family, communication about responsibilities and stuff like that, women are kind, but they also, like, when there are things that are important to them or when their boundaries are pushed, they will hold it. Women are leaders. Mm-hmm. Women can be whatever they want. Can do whatever they want. I hope that's what they know.
So what I see today, so whatever today is, 2026, your life has kind of come full circle where you now are raising your children as farm children. You're a farmer. Your husband's a farmer. You live that rural life. What is it about farming that tugs at your heartstrings, that inspires you, that keeps you getting up in the morning to do it all over again the next day?
I dreamed about this exact life when I was like a teenager.
With Brett? With exactly Brett?
No. I dreamed about it, but it was different. It did not look like this. In fact, the life I get to live now is like way more bigger and beautiful than I ever thought possible. But I dreamed about 2 kids. I dreamed about walking home from the barn after doing some counseling, equine counseling work, walking home from the barn and walking into the house and my partner and my kids laughing and playing and just like putting my stuff down and going to join them. So that part with my work. Farming, I've always loved the farm. I think my parents are some of the most amazing people on the planet, and watching my dad do what he did, and what he still does, like, I just think he's incredible. I always loved working cows. So farming, like driving a tractor round and round, doesn't necessarily get me fired up, but cows do and horses do. I'm not as passionate about cows as my husband, but I love them. And taking care of animals is one of my favorite things. I also recognize that in taking care of animals, we are feeding people, which sucks in the way of, like, you take care of these animals and you know their destination. But there's also a huge sense of pride in, like, feeding humanity. Not everybody eats beef, but the people that do, taking pride in how those animals are cared for and raised, and being able to provide quality food to nourish people and families. And they sit around the table and celebrate holidays, birthdays, have a steak dinner with someone they love, or, hamburger helper because it's their kid's favorite meal. Like, just getting to be a part of that is pretty cool. And the space. I love the space of being in the country. I don't know. Does that answer your question? You asked, like, how could you eat an animal that you know? And it is kind of strange, but it also is super, the sense of pride, like, that animal that you invested all that time into and all those resources in feed and the vaccinations and taking care of their health. And then you get to enjoy a meal with people you love.
I want to imagine, and we'll close it out this way, I think, that you see your future self, let's say your 68-year-old self. What would you say to that future self?
I would be like, let's go, but not in let's move and make stuff happen. But I'm excited about aging, not age, but the time and the experiences. And it's hard to watch my kids grow up, but I am so excited for their future and so proud of them. I'm so proud of this farm that we're building. And I imagine sitting on the deck or going out to the coulee and sitting on the rocks with my husband in a couple of years. And just having maybe a glass of wine or just sitting there and reflecting on kind of our life and what we built and the people we met and the people we loved and got to love us. And the relationships with the farm, the animals, the people, the environment, and hopefully we leave it in a little bit of a better place. Whatever that means, whatever that means.
Anything else before we close off this episode that you want people to know about you that they might not know? What's important for people to know about Amy Monea?
Some feedback I've heard about me is that I'm soft but direct. I'm awkward.
Very.
Which that would have embarrassed me 20 years ago. And now I'm just good.
So endearing.
Good. Why would I be anything but who I am? And my husband it's a famous line in a music. I think a couple different musicians have redone the song, but let your freak flag fly. And we talk about that a lot with the kids in terms of just be yourself. You're not meant to be anybody else. And so embracing that is one of the parts of my journey that I've really enjoyed.
The chapter in the book about Amy is called The Science of Me. There's so much more to Amy Monea than just she is very, very brain smart. It's very.
I forgot I didn't wear my lab coat. It's my cowgirl lab coat.
She does like science. She does love research. But there's so much more to Amy Monea than that. As me knowing her for the past 11 years, what I know about her is that her heart is huge. She cares deeply about the people that are around her, that mean something to her. She cares a lot about the world events and what's going on and people suffering and things like that, to sometimes the point where it can really kind of get you in a bit of a funk, right?
That's true.
That she cares so deeply. She's funnier than shit. She is also probably one of the best therapists I've ever seen work. If you are ever needing to have someone hold beautiful space for you, that would be Amy Monea. She's a brilliant listener. She asks hard questions. and she's she hears things that you aren't actually saying, but she knows what you're like. She knows what's going on inside. Empathic, intuitive, kind of woo-woo at times. Like she talks to my horse, so
Yeah.
that's not a science.
We're used to like, I wouldn't tell Angie. Now I'm like, I just asked him. He said no. I believed him. I got a question.
So that brings this episode to a conclusion. If you have any questions or comments or want to ask Amy something that we didn't cover on this podcast, please just type us a message and we're happy to answer. Subscribe somewhere.
It's usually like over here
somewhere. Like, share. We're just having a ton of fun doing these podcasts, and we'll look forward to seeing you on episode 8.
All about Angie Payne.
I won't be here that day.
Right, that's it. Thank you.
All right.
Great questions.
Thank you for listening to the Mindful Humanship podcast.
May the horse always bring you home.